The Labour Party campaign team this week lost one of its key players as the Director General of the party's presidential campaign organization, Mr. Okupe, resigned due to issues of money laundering linked to him. He made this known in a letter on Tuesday following the ruling of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja that convicted him of violating the Money Laundering Act. Okupe, in his resignation letter, said it was better not to allow his personal interest distract the campaign of Peter Obi and that of the party, hence his decision to step down. Reacting to Okupe's decision, Mrs. Olubunmi Odesonya, the LP Publicity Secretary, Lagos State, said that Okupe had raised the bar and the standard for others to follow. Odesonya said that Okupe's decision remained honorable to clear his name through the nation's legal system. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss Okupe's resignation from his position and if this in any way will affect the party's momentum as we approach the 2023 election is Chris Nwokoabia, a public affairs analyst and convener of Country First Movement. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning, my boy Ruben Abati. Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. And good morning, Ayo.
Well, let's start with the introduction given by Ayo. Would Dr. Okupe's exit as Director General of the campaign organization of the Labour Party affect the fortunes of the party in the elections? Considering the fact, however, that Mr. Peter Obi himself has said he's undeterred, he will move on. And we saw him having that rally in Uyo Akwa Ibom, which was adjudged successful by many observers. But many will readily admit that Dr. Okupe is a heavy lifter when it comes to politics, and his experience must be a very strategic asset to that campaign. But what do you think?
Let me say clearly, Dr. Ruben Abati, that if there is anything that Dr. Okupe's resignation will do is to raise a stake and nudge the campaign. If we were on a 50% decibel, take it to about 95, because never have we seen this kind of moral suasion, this kind of credibility and dignity in our political kaleidoscope. Never have we seen a man who otherwise under the law has the right to appeal, saying, I will not distract the campaign that I've helped build by waiting until I exhaust my right to appeal to ensure that Nigerians understand that my hands are clean. He has done what Martin Luther King Jr. will call an effort in creative suffering, an effort in redemptive sacrifice. And I think that Nigerians must salute Dr. Okupe, the Obedience Worldwide, the Labour Party, and indeed my principal, Peter Gregory. We are happy, excited that we're not only taking our country away from the NADE, but we're raising the moral bar, we're raising the ethical bar, and we're telling people that we're not just about a new Nigeria. We live, dream, think, and act it. We're true to what we say on paper. The statement from the Lagos State Publicity Chapter was apt and straight to the issues, because whether we like it or not, he who must serve, he who must govern, must be like Caesar's wife, above board. And our party is showing that. Our principal is committed to that. And much as we would miss Dr. Okupe as the DG of a campaign, we salute his courage. And for us, we move, we win.
All right, thank you for opening statement, Mr. Nwokoabia. However, some people might say that perhaps the Labour Party wasn't strong enough in their support of Dr. Okupe. Yes, praising his efforts to him who must come to equity must come with clean hands, and to ensure that since he was still appealing the judgment, that he would step aside so as not to distract. What are some of the ways that the Labour Party would support him on this process, despite the fact that they would now be engaging the services of another DG?
Interestingly, in other climes, people who govern will do exactly what Dr. Okupe has done. Interestingly, our principal, my principal, Peter Gregory, has said without equivocation that we salute his dignity and his interest in ensuring that the battle for the soul of our country, the ballot-based people's revolution that this campaign epitomizes, will not be derailed by any means. We're together with Dr. Okupe in ensuring that the details and the issues regarding the money laundering case is fully exhausted and judicially handled. Let me say without fear of querulous critics that what simply has happened is that proverbial saying, the witch cried last night, the child dies this morning. Remember when it started? It started with the public secretary of the party and the chairman of the party in Ogun State, raising certain hoopla and allegedly suspending Dr. Okupe. And then the Usain Bolt-like judicial handling of the money laundering case. You saw how it went. And the question has always been, if Sambo Dasuki, Colonel Sambo Dasuki retired, who allegedly disbursed these monies, hasn't been put to trial on allegation of money laundering, why the speed on Olisemetu? Why the speed on Dr. Okupe? But that's not my challenge this morning. What I am here to say is the fact that the Labour Party, Dr. Okupe, Peter Gregory, and the Obedience Worldwide are showing Nigerians and indeed the world what we're about. We're about competency, credibility, integrity, and capacity. We're about dedication to new values in leadership. We're about revolutionizing how things happen in this country. We're about values and morals in leadership. We're about turning things around and betting a new day. And that's exactly what his actions epitomizes. And that's exactly why we will continue to solidarize with him and ensure that he exhausts the right to appeal. But the campaign moves on, and effectively, efficiently, and effectually so.
A lot has been going on in the Labour Party. First, the case of Mr. Arabambi. And let's not forget that there was a move against Okupe to expel him from Ogun State, reading out the laws that he didn't pay campaign dues. Secondly, the killing of a Labour Party assembly candidate in one of the states in the East. Thirdly, this Okupe debacle. Fourthly, the infighting across every part of the Labour Party. All of these are happening at the same time. Also, what's your take on the possibility that Akin Oshitokun might emerge the new DG of the campaign?
Fifthly, Rufai, let me say fifthly, the murder of the woman leader in Kaduna State, and then across the attack of the flag voice of the Labour Party. And let me say this clearly, Rufai, what is happening is that the old order is rattled, the old order is scared, and there's a mortal fear of the reality before us that a new day beckons. There's a mortal fear that it is definitely not going to be business as usual after February 2023. And let me say clearly that whilst they continue to beat the drums of war and try to distract the Labour Party, we will continue to preach to the Nigerian people and engage with the Nigerian people. Dr. Ruben did note that immediately after the conviction and the issues, our principal was in Akwa Ibom, and the very day after, he was in Cross River State campaigning and reaching out to the Nigerian people. Of the four leading candidates, he's the one who's been in the news, talking to the people and reaching out to the people. So the natural thing is that those who are mortally scared, those who are troubled, those who are worried, those who understand that the sweltering harmattan of this content is pushing and nudging the obedient movement, are definitely weaving albeit surreptitiously, a dangerous card, but we're deeper and stronger than whatever they're doing. I want to say here, Rufai, that we shall consistently treat the battle to take back our country with unalterable commitment. We shall consistently look beyond the tendencies of those who want to disrupt or distract our campaign. We shall consistently nudge and push the message for a new Nigeria. And the Labour Party, the obedient movement worldwide, our principal, Peter Gregory Obi, is very committed, and we are only appealing to the security agencies to do what they must do. Protect the people who are asking for a new Nigeria. Protect the people who are pushing the call for a new deal and a new day. Protect every Nigerian and ensure that come 2023, we have a free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections.
Okay, let me ask you, we had a conversation before you joined us with Comrade Issa Aremu, the DG of the Modu Labour Institute, and also the director in charge of the Labour Directorate of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. And he was saying that his candidate, Asiwaju Tinubu, is the only presidential candidate so far to have met with organized labor and labor leaders and rubbed minds with them at a town hall meeting, and that APC has a labor component in its campaign agenda. You recall that after that event, people were saying, where is Labour Party? Where is the presidential candidate of the Labour Party? Why is he not the first to meet with organized labor? So I ask you, how much support is the Labour Party getting from organized labor itself?
Dr. Ruben Abati, I speak for the Big Tent, which is the independent presidential campaign organization of Peter Gregory Obi. I'm a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of the Labour Party. I know exactly what is happening at the level of our campaign, and I know exactly what is happening everywhere. But let me say this with a sense of commitment and seriousness. Remember, Dr. Ruben, that at a certain point a few months ago, we had people who were called unknown bishops. We had unknown gunmen. We had unknown people endorsing candidates. And do you know that the Labour Party is an amalgam of the TUC, Trade Union Congress? Labour Party has the NLC with it. Do you know that consistently we meet with these organs of the labor movement in this country? When Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with the so-called labor leaders, how many leaders of the TUC and the NLC were there? You know, consistently, the campaign of the APC and Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been shredded with all kinds of perfidy, permit my choice of words. They tell you they have met with bishops, and the bishops are unknown. They tell you they've met with these people, and apart from Comrade Issa Aremu that I know, and I greeted when I got here, who perhaps is the one who knows the reason why he's there. I think that the 99% of the labor movement in this country is unanimous with the candidacy of Peter Gregory Obi. They are in support of our manifesto. They are committedly involved with the campaign, and there is no division within the labor movement. We are dedicated to the quest for a new Nigeria. We're committed to the battle for a new day for the masses of our people. And we're saying that the time to redefine our politics, reshape and rework our countries now. And the only candidate that's spoken to these issues is Peter Gregory Obi. And this is without equivocation. Dr. Ruben, I know that sooner rather than later, you would be manifestly obedient because your thoughts are for a new Nigeria. I know that Nigerians across the divides are committed to the quest for a new Nigeria, and we want to make things work for our people. That's what the resignation of Dr. Okupe epitomizes. That's what the message of the Labour Party and Peter Gregory Obi epitomizes. And that's what the obedience across this country are saying. It is time for a new day and a new deal.
And I'd like to clarify something from you, Mr. Nwokoabia. Do you think, or in your view, with the template that Dr. Okupe's resignation has presented, will that be the reality if indeed the presidential candidate of the Labour Party becomes president, that in the event that any of his appointees or members of his cabinet is found to be in breach of public trust or perhaps in a corruption, is found guilty by a court of law, would they resign? If he himself is found in such a scandal or such an accusation or in a conundrum in this way, would he himself resign? And then I'm saying that on the back of the labor organized labor's meeting that Dr. Abati just referred to, where they mentioned that chief of their presentation or concerns is tackling corruption, which is a menace which is endemic in Nigeria. Will that be a solution? Will that be one of the things that the Labour Party is committing to do? Beyond Dr. Okupe's resignation, would any member of the party who is found in this kind of situation step aside?
Clearly so. Peter Gregory has said that we will redefine moral bars as a nation. We will redefine our values as a people in leadership. And that's exactly what we're saying, that the time to draw new lines on our collective canvas, on our corporate canvas is now. The time to draw and set new margins on our socio-political amphitheater is now. And I say without equivocation that Dr. Okupe has set a standard, and it's already happening. I read a few days ago, or was it yesterday, that one of the speakers across the country resigned because he didn't want to be messed up by certain elements. Was it in Taraba State or something? It's begun. Let me tell you, our campaign is redefining our politics. Remember, Dr. Ruben, remember Rufai, remember Ayo, that a few years ago, what you see across this country are political office holders and those who are aspiring for political office going by across the street from one Amala joint to one marketplace, plaiting hair and doing all kinds of funny dramaturgy. But today the issues have changed, and that's because we have a Peter Gregory on the political space. Today nobody is running around such comedic issues. Today, the margins are different. And what we're saying, we're beginning to reshape our politics before even getting to power. And what we will do when we get to power is to ensure that the values are very different. And that's the margin that Dr. Ruben Okupe, through his creative and honorary sacrifice, has set. And then let me say, regarding the second leg of your question, the Labour Party, the Labour leaders, so-called Labour leaders, and those who met with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the issues about corruption, we know that in other climes, no party will have the candidacy of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a presidential candidate. You know the drug issue, you know the multiple cases of corruption, and you know the bullion van scenario. So how can they fight corruption? Ask yourself, you know. And then you know what President Olusegun Obasanjo, former president, said about Atiku Abubakar, that whilst he was in power, he stole as much that will feed 300 million people for 300 years. And that's the candidacy on the other side. And here we have a candidate who, as governor, left humongous resources for the state. And not only did he do that, when he left the state without debt. And very importantly, he's not drawing pensions or any kind of emolument from Anambra State. That's commitment to service. And that's exactly the kind of leadership we're bringing before the Nigerian people. We're saying that the time for a new tendency, a new dispensation, a new disposition to leadership is now. And believe me, that is why our principal has consistently said that he will be loyal not only to humankind, not only to Nigerians, but to God. He will ensure that he serves the people meritoriously, and he committedly stands and abides by the dictates of the Constitution. We will. our party, our candidate, when he becomes president, will raise the moral bar beyond what you have even seen. We hold the aces and will consistently lead the narrative.
Okay, Dr. Nwokoabia, you've been very critical of the APC, but the APC spokesperson say that in fact Mr. Peter Obi is now beginning to imitate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And after all, he was sharing questions also, imitating a standard that has been set by the APC presidential candidate, and that your attention should be drawn to that. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on The Morning Show.